let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you actually felt good about money? Not relieved, not satisfied, good. If you can remember, you are not alone and you are not broken. There is a reason. Money was invented for one reason, to make our lives easier, to solve a simple problem. So simple it seems silly to even mention. And yet, somewhere along the way, money stopped serving us. We started serving it. Today, I am in conversation with my co-founder at Vasupradah, Abhishek Mathur.
Right.
We are not going to talk about which stock to buy. We are not going to talk about returns. We are not going to talk about something we as financial planners see every single week. Abhishek, let us start at the very beginning. We all have a unique relationship and understanding of money. How does it impact us?
Thank you, Jaideep. Our connection to money is complex because it is not just tied up with the utility of money. It is tied up with our emotions, and it can do more things than just buy things. It carries meaning in itself. And I'll give you an example. You spend 100 rupees on a rose and give it to a partner, it can create a lasting memory. And you give the same 100 rupees to partner, it's the same money, but two different impact. And you see how it translates, how it makes a difference. Another example is, the same value of money can change in our mind also. An example is that we buy an ice cream worth 50 or 60 rupees for 250 rupees if we are on a holiday at a hill station, and we are ready to pay the double the amount for the same ice cream and yet feel happier with it. So money has got a lot of emotions involved with this. And on the other side, we have seen if the market crashes, we really feel the pain. Though around us, nothing much would have changed. And so this discussion today, I thought, is not just on the relationship, but also on the anxiety that we have about money. And I see this anxiety in a lot of people, and I thought that's a good discussion to have.
Yeah, Abhishek, I agree. Money does tend to occupy a center stage in many aspects of our lives. I think we should delve into its beginnings. Before SIPs, before the census, what was money actually invented for?
Right. So before money came in, there was a barter system. And the barter system, unfortunately, had a big flaw, which is what the economists called as double coincidence of want. And which is that imagine you make shoes and you want wheat. And to get wheat through barter, you would need to find a farmer who had wheat and who also happened to need a pair of shoes that very time, and not last month, not after 1 year, but at that moment. And if you could not find that farmer, you would go hungry because you could not exchange your shoes with wheat. And that was a major problem with the barter system. And money solved this problem very beautifully. Actually, it did three things. One was that it became a medium of exchange, so no more coincidences required. Two, it was a measure of value. For the first time in human history, we could compare wheat and shoes on a common scale. And third was that it became a store of value.
Explain the third one. That is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, store of value. Think of a tomato farmer. He harvests his crop. The tomatoes maybe last for maybe 2 weeks or so. But with the same money, he has to actually live for the entire year. And without money, he has to trade them all immediately or they become worthless. Now, with money, he sells his crops, stores the value as money or in coins. And in winter, when he needs a blanket, he can use these coins to buy a blanket. So money essentially becomes a battery, a way to store the energy of your labor until it is needed at some point of time. And that's it. That's all the money was supposed to be, a battery actually.
A battery for our labor. That is a beautiful way to put it. So at what point did it stop being a battery and become something else?
Yeah, Jaideep. So originally the cycle was very simple. You produce something, you trade, and then you consume. And money was a bridge between production and consumption. It was a tool essentially. And you would produce something which you were good at, where you had special talent or understanding, and basically something you could make from your strengths. But somewhere along the way, the tool became a goal, and money stopped from being a means to an end to becoming an end itself.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so because money represents a potential to consume anything, it offers something nothing else can. Psychological, it's essentially a psychological safety net. As long as I have money, I have options, I feel secure. And that feeling is intoxicating. And slowly we stopped chasing the things money was meant to buy or what we were producing. We started chasing money itself.
Okay. What does that look like in real life, and how has that impacted us?
Yeah, let me give you two patterns on how this has impacted us. First one I called as the hoarding trap. Person who's accumulating substantial corpus, maybe a few crores, and still is anxious. And they have accumulated paper, digits, seeking the assurance of future consumption, but they've actually never figured out what exactly they want to consume. The second is a graver one, I think, a painful one, which is the career crisis. And think of a talented artist who's become an investment banker for just the paycheck. And I see this amongst young kids who are looking for a job opportunity. They're not really so much bothered about the strengths, but they're bothered more about how much they're going to be earning. And this leads to engineers who wanted to teach, doctors who love research but took another career, and they've traded their time and talent not for goods they needed, but a score in the bank account, hoping that this score or this money that they accumulated will actually buy them happiness.
And what we are learning is,
Yeah, it doesn't. We meet clients in their 30s and 40s who are looking for financial freedom, not retirement from work, but freedom at work. They want to change their career tracks. They want to start something they were always interested in. And they've spent maybe 20, 25 years pursuing money. Now they want 20 years of life back in effect. And they're asking us to help through a plan, through a financial plan. That is what we are actually witnessing today. And we have replaced the pleasure of producing something aligned to our strengths with the pleasure of consuming anything money could buy. And that trade rarely ends well. The silver lining is, with a little bit of financial planning, it is possible to unwind this and get this freedom back.
distortion number two. What is it?
Yeah, so the other distortion is that we really stopped treating money as a store of value. We've also started to demand it as a generator of value. And the idea that money sitting somewhere should multiply its own without doing any new work has become so normal that we don't even question it.
Yeah, but surely some return is necessary. Inflation eats your purchasing power if you don't earn anything on your money.
Absolutely, Jaideep. I mean, if the money is getting stored somewhere, it is a reasonable return to preserve the purchasing power or grow it reasonably. It is healthy and it's a reasonable expectation. But the distortion is on the unreasonable expectation. The idea that 6-7% to beat inflation isn't enough, or 12% is not enough, that the money should grow at 30%, 40% in a year quickly without really doing anything. This is, I think, a legitimized way of economic laziness, expecting capital to work harder than labor, even at a very young age.
Where does this expectation lead to?
Yes, so a good example is the SEBI study, which got released in 2023. Between FY19 and 22, the share of individual traders in the age of 20 to 30 in FNO segment actually jumped from 11% to 36%. That's only in 3 years.
So 3 times the participation by people barely out of college.
That's right. And what's important, this study actually showed that 89%, which is 9 out of 10 individual traders in equity FNO incurred losses. Now, this isn't investing. This is actually speculation, gambling, dressed in the language of investing. And really, the source of this is that I will be able to multiply my money very quickly and take these calls, eventually leading to losses at large.
And then the meme stocks, the volatile crypto assets, same phenomena.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same. A speculative bubble is just this distortion at scale. Thousands of people simultaneously believing that money should multiply quickly without any underlying production. It can work for short period, but it is not the way to really have this expectation from money.
And it's worth saying many of these young people are dreaming of early retirement, fire, all of that, built on the assumption that the returns will be there.
That's right, Jaideep. I mean, FIRE, financial independence, retire early, beautiful concept. It's built on many places on very aggressive savings. But when it's built on aggressive return expectation, it's a fantasy. It has to be really worked out properly, planned out properly to go in for FIRE.
The third discussion, what is it?
Yeah, the third distortion, Jaideep, it's credit. And credit really altered a relationship with time. If you remember the original cycle, it was to produce, trade, and consume. But with credit, we actually consume first and then produce. So credit reverses this natural order, and we are spending labor. We are spending a labor when we haven't yet performed.
But credit is not all bad, surely.
Absolutely not. There is good credit, Jaideep, and then there is the distorted credit. And the distinction is important. For a producer, credit is a lifeline. A farmer taking a loan to buy a tractor, the tractor helps him to grow more wheat, and then the wheat then pays back the loan with interest, and there's still profit left over. So the credit multiplied its productive capacity, and I would call it as a healthy credit.
And the home loan example?
Yeah, and similarly with home loan, I mean, again, it's a productive debt. You're replacing an expense, which is rent, with an asset that grows in value. It is still credit, but it's serving you. It is not really restricting or enslaving you.
And the distorted version?
Now comes the distorted version, which is, buying a luxury vacation on a credit card with, 15-20% annual interest, or a new smartphone every 12 months on an EMI, or a luxury car paying far more EMI. You enjoy the consumption today, but you have actually enslaved your future labor to pay for it. You took the memory now, and you're working those extra months, sometimes years, to pay it off.
And the cruelty is the vacation is over in a week. The interest bill keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, although there's nothing wrong with a nice, beautiful vacation, everyone should have it. But there's something wrong with the way you are managing this. There's no need to mortgage your future labor for a fleeting memory and create anxiety all over for a long period of time. A better way is to plan it and save towards it.
So let us bring this home. 3 distortions. Money became the goal, not a tool.
Yeah.
Money was expected to multiply on its own, and credit let us mortgage our future.
Yeah, together these distortions have turned a helpful assistant into a demanding tyrant. It is one of the big sources of anxiety that many of us have today.
How does someone watching this, maybe someone in the 30s or 40s, who has felt all three of these in some form, how do they start reclaiming the relationship?
Three honest questions, and that's not easy, but it's still worth making an attempt. One, what is this money actually for? If I told you tomorrow that you will never need to earn another rupee, what is it that you actually want to do with your time? If you can't answer that, then money has no purpose. Somewhere having tangible, measurable life goals, formalized through a financial plan really helps. Second is, am I expecting my money to do the work that only my labor should be doing? If your financial plan only succeeds if it is based on unreasonable 20% returns year on year, well, that's not a plan. That's a hope. And hope is not a strategy. Having an investment strategy based on a risk profile and investment horizon gives clarity to what kind of return you should be actually expecting. And third is how much of my future labor I have already promised away, which is add up all your EMIs, your credit card balances, your buy now, pay later commitments. The honest number is usually larger than people expect.
And then what? How does financial planning help holistically?
Yes, we have to start fixing this relationship with money. With a financial planning, money goes back to where it was meant to be. A financial plan documents your life goals, assigns monetary value, and paves path to achieve them. With a plan, we know where money can help us, what are the goals that it is meant for, and how much is good enough for every goal that we have. A financial plan actually gives a control over your money rather than you being controlled by it. And I'm not saying that financial planning is the answer for all kinds of uh, fixes that we have to do with money, but it cuts down our distorted expectation from the money, and that's a big step in getting control back. Because when we have these distorted expectation from money, money also puts in unreasonable pressure on us, which is what this discussion was on, the anxiety that money carries in many of us. So money should be treated as a battery, a way to store the energy of your labor until you're ready to trade for something you truly value.
Abhishek, this was one of those conversations that does not end when the camera stops. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaideep. These are the conversations that really matter to many of us.
Yeah, if you are still here, thank you. This was not a video about how to make more money. It was a video about how to make sure you don't lose the things money can't buy in the process. My question for you, of the three distortions Abhishek described, the hoarding trap, the greed for idle growth, and the time trap from credit, which one do you recognize in your own life? Be honest in the comments. Anonymous is fine. We read everyone. If this conversation make you think even for a moment, please do comment. This is the kind of video we will keep making. No tips, not tricks, just honest conversations about money, work, and life from people who do this every day for clients across India and abroad. Until next time, produce something you love, save what you can, and remember what the money is actually for. Goodbye.